What is going on, y'all? I am Jordan Espeseth, your host of the DFW's Real Estate Best podcast. And this week, man, I'm excited. We have some high energy guests that will be joining us. One is an incredible Real Producers vetted business partner of ours, who's a partner at American Real PM, an awesome property management company. And the other is a successful real estate agent who has a pretty awesome story, has a lot of passion for life. And I'm excited to chat with these guys. And if you want to hear their stories, how they got to where they're at right now, what motivates them to continually produce at a high level, then tune in right now. All right, y'all. I'm excited to get this podcast started. I feel like it's been a minute since I've done a podcast with the holidays and all that. But this podcast, just so everyone knows, I always got to give a shout out to Mr. Lennon Wilson behind the scenes with The Difference. That's what the Real Producers podcast is powered by, is The Difference. And what they do, they provide video branding and digital business solutions for small business owners and entrepreneurs locally as well as statewide. And just in 2021, they have they recently crossed. Well, I have to ask Leonard what the final number was, but they were at 950,000 viewer/listener mark in 2021, and so right around that million, which is just awesome. So congrats to you, Lendon. But they can help you guys grow your business, your brand, expand your connections and your relationships. The Difference can help increase your influence and relevance and quickly help you become known as a power player and a mover and shaker in your sphere, in your community, your industry, and in your business world. And so, Landon, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for all that you do and for powering our podcast. And for those that don't know, Real Producers, I'm the owner of DFW Real Producers. There are currently 3 Real Producers here in DFW. And what we do is we create a community around the highest producing real estate agents in the market and the most highly recommended and vetted businesses that work with those producing real estate agents. And we have a monthly publication where we share the stories and the successes of the highest producing real estate agents in the market in a very beautiful publication that gets put out physically and digitally every single month. And we also throw some pretty awesome events. And we had one not too long ago called the Espeseth that was in November. It was our first ever awards gala, and it was an absolute blast. But we do some different smaller events and medium-sized events. And so our whole community is all about connecting and inspiring the best producing agents and businesses here within the market. And I'm just pumped. We have this podcast to help connect even at a higher level and get you guys to get more of a personal glimpse into some of the businesses and the agents that we work with. And so, as I mentioned, man, we got some 2 awesome people that are going to be joining us here today. And I'm going to quickly introduce both of them and get them on. But we have, as I mentioned, Mr. Kyle Karker with American Real PM. So, Landon, go ahead and bring on Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Glad to have you.
Everybody.
What's going on? I told you he brings the energy. The other man, let's get him on right now, is Mr. Darian Hall with EXP.
There's the
Diamond
name.
D. Oh, he's got the glasses and all. Let's go.
I'm here.
I love it. Fellas, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jordan. What's up?
Hey, I'm glad to have you guys on,
Jordan,
man.
Kyle. What's up, Darian?
Darren, I was looking at, I didn't have these stats on when it was, or the date, but man, I think it was like over 2 years ago when you and I sat down over, I think it was near Legacy West and had a good conversation.
And I'm sure it changed
your
life.
It actually, I tell you what, man, it popped up on my timeline just recently. Yeah, it was about a little over two years ago, man. Yeah, man, what a phenomenal time and a phenomenal visit, man. I'm just glad that we could again reconnect and be on this platform for sure.
Absolutely, man. It's good to see you. I'm glad when I talked to Kyle about hopping on, he was like, how about Darian? I'm like, absolutely, bring him on. That'd be perfect. So
you can bring the energy.
That's right. That's right. So I'm excited to have you guys on. Two of some of my favorite people, and both succeeding at high levels, and people that I personally just enjoy connecting with as well. And first of all, Darian and Kyle, how did you guys meet? How do you guys know each other?
Yo, you know what, man? So the first Real Producers event we went to, he was wearing some fly suit, and I came with some like red sequin joint, and we like saw each other across the room. We were like, man, I like that guy. I don't even know that guy, but I like that guy.
It's funny because when I walked into the room, I very quickly just like scanned, and then I saw him, and I was like, yeah, that's my guy. You know, let me go meet this guy, and we're gonna be friends. And of course, we've held up to that, man. Good buddy of mine.
Man, he's been over to my house. You know, we both had babies recently. We've been talking about that, and it's been good. He's been a great guy to know. He's always every time I ring up Darian, I just do this every once in a while, and I'm like, man, what's going on? That conversation is always happy. You're always feeling good when you leave it, and it's just like, man, that's the life, man. Just like these are the kind of people I want to have around me all the time. Jordan, you almost get there most of the time. I'm just kidding. You got that piece of you. I think that one of the things you've done well, Jordan, is all the people that are around are all, not only are they high producing agents and businesses that are doing really well, they're all good people. Yeah. And I think that's why you've been so successful, that we all want to be a part of that, and we all want to come to these events and just have the time socked away just to talk to everybody. I mean, I've been loving what you've been doing. Yeah.
I love that, man. Was that the event that we had out at Inspiration back in November?
I think it was.
In November up to like 2019?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We had the panel. We jumped in the pool, and it was freezing and all that.
I didn't jump in the pool.
Well, I did, and
I donated money for y'all to jump in the pool.
Yeah. That was a good time.
My business partner Scotty did.
Scotty jumped in with us.
Yeah, he's a little more brave than me in those sorts of things. But I just saw Tiger Woods came out. He was going to some surgery or something, maybe a doctor's appointment. He had the Straight Outta Compton logo type thing, but it said Straight Outta Ice Bath. I thought of you, Jordan. I feel like you do some crazy something like that.
Well, my coach does an ice bath every single morning. He actually has like a deep freezer that he's rigged to be an ice bath that he goes into every single morning. And he's a former Navy SEAL, and he's like a hardcore believer in it. He does it every single morning. I hate the cold more than anything. Yep. I have the excuse right now. I live in an apartment, and I can't do something like that. But
if you can't, you must.
Oh, I know. Maybe if when I move into a home, I'll consider it.
I shout out to Chris Carr, 100%.
Yeah,
he's got one of those big freezer chests in his.
He does that too.
He gets in that thing, man. I look at him, I'm like, no, thank you.
Well, and he'll sit in there for a long time.
He will.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, Cody Brasher just completed like a whole year of 75 hard. The guy that works with him.
Did he really?
75 hard phase 1, 2, 3, and then he threw another one in there just for fun.
No way.
See, Darian, we live fine lives, right? I don't think we need to be doing something like that right now.
No. I'm okay, man. I'm gonna kindly pass on that one. I think, and Jordan, you know, again, man, just shouts out for putting this whole community together, man. And you're right, it was at that Inspiration one, and that was really the moment I got a chance to again meet you, Kyle, and just some of the other amazing agents within the community, man. And so prior to that, you know, the only way we had that is if we just reached out to them directly. So, man, thank you so much for providing that. And but ultimately, I think you may have known not to ask me to jump into an ice cold water pool that day. So part of the reason why I dressed fly that day, you know, I knew I wasn't getting in the pool.
Yeah, you don't want to jump in if you're wearing all those nice suits. Even though I did jump in with my suit, but mine wasn't.
I remember.
Mine wasn't bedazzled up like your guys's though. I mean, it was just a standard suit. You know what I mean? So I want everybody to know a little bit more about you guys. Kyle, why don't we start off, man? Tell them a little bit about I mean, first of all, just kind of where you came from, how you got to where you're at right now. Tell us a bit about your business.
Yeah, so I'm one of the owners of American Real PM. My business partner, Scotty, and I, we sort of divided the business in two, but we met each other, I don't know, man, it was like 16 years ago in New York City on Craigslist, funny enough. I responded to a job ad because that's where you were finding jobs in New York City I'm sort of fresh out of college, even though fresh out of college, man, I went 2 years and was like, I got to go to work. This thing's for the birds. And I found an ad that said, have fun, make money, learn the business. And I said, all those things sound great. So I called him up. We had a great conversation. I walked in the office and what I did was I was showing people apartments around New York City. And he was the closer. So he would sit behind the table and my job was to be friends with him and bring him back to the office and sit him in front of him. He was great at that. And, honestly, at that time, we were always talking about eventually getting into investment real estate in some sort of capacity. He was doing rich dad, poor dad classes. And I was like, I ain't going to that seminar. And so, long story short, we ran that company. We ended up sort of becoming business partners in that venture. And as real estate agents, you all know that you're sort of independent contractors. You can form your own teams as much as you want. So we formed our own team. We were running probably 12 agents at some point. We met a guy who by the name of Greg Young, and Greg Young was at City Habitats, which was a New York City real estate company in the 80s when either you sold property or you rented apartments. There was never any crossover in New York City. So he came in and he took City Habitats from doing 0 sales annually to $1 billion of sales a year by teaching the rental agents how to sell property. So he picked me up and they sold to an NRT company. They gave him a small sum of money for all the work he did comparatively, in my opinion. And it was in his opinion too. And he ended up quitting and starting a training academy for real estate agents. So he had this whole program of how to do it right and how to actually, work the business and grow your life. Every year in real estate, it should be easier and more lucrative every year you do it if you do it right. So he pulled me out of his class and said, hey, I got this idea. I'm going to start a brokerage in New York City. I'm going to train them and I'm going to pick out the best agents and I'm going to send them to you. We're going to proof of concept the thing. And then I'm going to go back and hire all the old managers that were doing in New York City. They didn't do deal value. They did actual revenue. So these guys were managing $6, $7, $8 million branches of this company. He was going to pull them out. We were going to give them equity, pop up shops all around the city. And then the guy had a massive stroke and died. Both of them mentored Scotty and I, and the guy he would give you the shirt off his back. This guy had 19 acres is like a little retreat up. We called it the He-Man Woman Haters Club. If anybody watched those shows back in the day.
The Little Rascals?
Yeah, the Little Rascals. So we would go up there and we could hunt, and it was in the Catskills. So we'd be able to go out and hunt and fish and do whatever we wanted to do. So then at that time I was looking at a brokerage because the whole business was basically built on his personal network, right? So these guys all worked for this guy before and they weren't going to work for me because I didn't have that level of camaraderie with these guys and trust that he had built over 20 years with these guys. So then I moved over and I was looking at starting this brokerage as an equity partner and some younger tech focused guys. And I was just kind of burnt out on the city. Scotty had gone back to, he started a family, he had 2 kids, and 1 at the time actually. And his wife needed some help from the family. And he's from McKinney, Texas. Actually, Dr. Glenn Mitchell is his grandfather. And there's a park in McKinney named Dr. Glenn Mitchell Park. At one time, I think he birthed like 80% of the people that were born in McKinney.
Oh, geez.
Something crazy like that. Don't quote me on those numbers, even though this is being recorded, whatever. Yes, you have to quote me on it.
It is recorded forever.
Well, cool. And then quote me on it. So down here, he got involved with a turnkey company, turnkey being they were basically institutionally flipping. They were selling 20, 30 houses a month. As rent-ready houses with leases and tenants and just here, buy this house, ready to go as an investment. That company no longer is with us, but they pulled him out of a company called One Prop, which also sold to an NRT company. And they said, hey, who's the best property manager you ever worked with, to the asset manager? And he said, Scotty Mitchell. So Scotty came out, started this thing, called me up one day, and as I was considering this other venture, and I said, he texted me, he said, hey, maybe you should come down to New York. And I was like, or to Texas. And I was like, that might be interesting. So I told my girlfriend at the time, I was like, I might go to Texas. And she goes, what? And I go, I'm just kidding. So a month later, we've been talking. I was like, you know that Texas thing I was saying? I'm going. So I actually lived with Scotty for a year and commuted back and forth from New York because my wife was a teacher. She's now my wife. So that was a happily ever after story, something like that. And so I commuted back and forth, and I didn't want to pull her out of her teaching because in New York, you got really great pensions, you got a really great retirement system. And if you can keep that, it'd be great. So I want to make sure this company was viable before I pulled her out of that. Turns out we're doing just fine.
What year was that? When did you move here?
That was April 2017. The company started September 2016, and it's slowly built. We started with 18 houses, and we got somewhere around 500 now, something like that. So it's been a little nuts for the past couple of years, and now we're off to the races.
I love that. Yeah, I remember you and I met, Kyle, at, was it Legacy Hall at Legacy West, right?
Yep. That was through Chris. We were supposed to connect at the Tony Robbins event.
That's right.
And then we couldn't actually meet somehow because I met Chris Carr is the ultimate connector of people, and I dropped my phone, or he dropped his phone in the hallway, and he stopped, he talked to me, and then we realized he's like my best friend now. It's like random turns of events.
Yeah, I totally forgot.
Like, I know this guy Jordan, you got to meet him.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we all three were at it was the Tony Robbins Unleash Power Within event in Garland in 2019 or something like that. Yeah, I forgot. That's right. And then because he was texting us. We were all at that event, and then the rest is history. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, we'll get back to you here. I'm gonna have Darian step in. Darian, tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up. I know you played football. You have some history with the sprint and all that, and kind of tell us where you're at right now.
God, are we going that far back? So like you mentioned, I mean, athletic background, pretty much all my life from Oklahoma. Relocated to Texas, really kind of like what Kyle was saying, but in reverse. Like my girlfriend at the time lived here. And so it was kind of like, well, what are you doing in Oklahoma? I'm like, nothing really, So she's like, why don't you move to Texas? And I was like, all right, cool. That sounds fun. So moved to Texas. And when I got here, I needed a job. So I was like, well, man, what am I going to do, And so I ended up, even though I, came from an athletic background, I really liked the camaraderie and the teamwork aspect of just anything, really. And I couldn't find a job, man. I was like, well, where am I going to go, And so I ended up going into a Sprint store. And the guy, and I'm shortening up this story for y'all because I don't want to keep it too long. So,
and I'll listen to you all day,
Sprint store, met this. Yeah, trust me, we'll be here all day. So I go into the Sprint store. I meet the assistant manager, and I'm just kind of like, hey, look, man, I just moved here. I need a job. He asked me if I could sell. I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can. Hadn't really been selling in the past. But he said, I'll tell you what, we're not hiring, but I'll call you if we are. So I left. And I was literally like maybe 15 minutes down the road, and he called me back. He said, hey, you're hired. And I'm like, oh, great. So I got a job. And so I stayed in the retail store capacity for about 3 years. Now, my exit out of Sprint is what actually, you have those moments where the reality is, okay, it's time for you to grow. And I got to that point, right? I was kind of like, dismissed out of Sprint. So I was like, man, what am I going to do? But what happened with Sprint is I got a chance to meet just phenomenal people, and I helped so many folks. And I had a lady, she would come into the store and she said, hey, you know what? I think you'll be good in real estate. And I didn't think I would be good in real estate until I saw her pull out. Back then, they were doing closing. This is about 16 years ago. So Back then, she was going to her closing. She wasn't getting her funds wired. She was basically getting the paper check, cashing it, and she opened her purse and like all this money fell out. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You do real estate. I need to be doing real estate. That was solely what I wanted to do. I wanted to have money like that. And so I hopped in. I went in and I got it. I started taking the classes. I knocked those classes out. But for me, it really was a matter of matching what I had learned in the retail capacity with Sprint and just applying that to real estate. So I was already kind of really driven to be very relational. Folks came into the store. They asked for me. It didn't matter if I was in the store or not. They asked for me. And I always had people, who waited. So I wanted to take that same concept and apply it to real estate. And like I said, 16 years later, I'm still here, right? And, every year I continue to work with really, really great folks. And, and for me, I've really created a career now that honors my priorities, right? My priorities 16 years ago are different now, and so, recently I got a little baby daughter, right? And so, I like to spend as much time with her as possible. So it's one of those things where, now, looking back, I can say, hey, not only was this the best decision for me, but it helped me to become something else, which is where I am today. So
I love that, man. Well, what is it? Steve Jobs said, when you look back at your life, you can see that all the dots connect, and you can't really looking forward. You can't connect the dots. They haven't happened yet, but looking back, they all do connect, and they all line up. And I remember you saying, I think, yeah, because you had built a pretty awesome team at Sprint, right? Some pretty didn't you build? Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if I got any Sprint guys watching us right now. But I tell you now, we had the best store. It was me, my assistant manager, and our team. We had a group of guys and girls. We had a couple of ladies, but we killed it. We crushed it. I mean, it was one of those things where, we all enjoyed going to work and being competitive. Like we had that environment that, okay, look, when someone came to the store, we was gonna make an impact, and they were gonna walk out with some, some accessories, a new phone. I was really good about getting somebody to a new phone for sure. I was like, hey, phone not working, voicemail not working. All right, you need a new phone. Like that was but yeah, and so for me, it really did. It started there, and then obviously, just getting into real estate. And initially, when you get into real estate, you don't really, when you take the courses, they just teach you they don't teach you how to sell, right? They don't teach you, you learn that stuff after you get out. And see, I didn't have that. All I had was the drive to be really good at it. And then once I got the license, and if there are some new agents listening to this, that's when you really had to do the work, right? That's where, I really had to go out, form the relationship, create the relationships. And really, and I'm really big, and I know you are, Jordan and Kyle, I'm really big on personal growth and development. So I knew that in order for me to really be good at real estate and serving, I had to become and get better personally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like any business, right? I mean, the biggest bottleneck to almost any business out there is the owner and their lack of growth. I mean, Scotty and I both, Jordan, Darian, we figured out from early on in our businesses that we have to get better for the business to get better. And if we're not getting better, the business ain't going to do anything. And, you run your own business, Darian, Jordan, you run your own business. If we're out there, I mean, I got a personal trainer. I've got a couple coaches that I talk to on a weekly basis. And, even better than that is almost the entire network of people that we probably all spend time with, because there's a lot of overlap in that we're all of the same mindset and we're all doing well. And, there's a reason for that. I mean, we work every day to try to create that life for ourselves. It's not just magic.
I remember when the first time I was ever introduced to anything entrepreneurial. When I grew up, it was for some reason I thought the only way you make money is you go to college, you get a job type thing, right? 9 to 5 stuff. And no one ever talked to me about entrepreneurialism or anything like that. I never if someone did talk to me, my ears weren't open at the time. I don't know, but I was like 20, I think, when I first got introduced to it. It was a network marketing company, but it's World Ventures. You guys probably heard of it. I believe it. Yeah. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but I first got introduced to them, and I knew there was, at the time I thought it was that. I was like, this is my calling. Like, I need to do this. But what I realized was I was so in line with the people, because they're all personal development. Like when I remember I went to one of the conferences, and I mean, it was just people, you could call it rah-rah. I'm sure there is some rah-rah stuff, but it was all about like, hey, if we can get you to be a better person, if you can function at a higher level, then you're going to create more success and happiness in your life, and more money along with it. And I was like, this sounds like this is the best. Like, how could anyone not? So I was like so in line with that, and I was obsessed with that. And I think people that are successful entrepreneurs, that's the type of stuff that I think a lot of us get gravitated to. It's the connection. It's knowing that if I get myself to be better, if I can think better thoughts, if I can be more efficient, if I can be more effective, if I can align with the right people, not only am I going to be more happier, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to be able to give more. Like, I think that's the mentality. And I know you guys are that way, but the first time, I mean, it was the very first time I got introduced to it. And I felt like I got hit with like a lightning bolt. I was like so energized by just the concept of like an entrepreneur.
Well, I think the biggest thing behind that, though, is that we all know it came from somewhere. I mean, I look back on 2 years ago, my brain was all jacked up and my value structure was all over the map. My limiting beliefs were all over the map. And going through this process of uncovering who I am deep inside and being able to have a rock that I can look back on. And, do I still go through some depressive issues? Yeah. I mean, do I still have, tough days? Yeah. But what it's allowed me to do is recognize when it's coming out and get rid of it real quick. Yeah. Before I used to live in sort of like this self-wallow and pity for, I don't know, seemingly no reason, but it'd be like 3 weeks and I'd come out of it and I would have no idea what happened for the past 3 weeks. Yeah. Now I see it coming and I'm like, get out of here, man. But it's that deep work that you have to do. And shout out to my man, Mark Keene, who's my coach, and he's taken me through this process. And, he's somebody that he realized from an early level, I'm not the same. You can't work with me the same way you work with everybody else. I need a custom tailored solution. You all know that. And probably most of the people watching this thing know that. But he was able to customize a whole thing. And I've been talking to him. I hired him right at the beginning of COVID, March 19 or 20. What was it? I don't know when this is.
March 20.
March 20. So I hired him right at the beginning. So we've been doing this for about 2 years. And I can't tell you how much better I feel just on a daily basis and able to navigate the life. Going into, through COVID, I got married. I had a kid. My little 6-month-old baby now. And all that stuff was so scary for me, man. I've been spending, I don't know how many years terrified of somebody coming and telling me they were pregnant. And so making that transition to be like, no, this is a good thing. We're planning this. This is, having a family. I mean, I was on both sides of the fence, like something in my back of my brain was screaming at me like, no. Yeah. It was just, it's the way that you lived your whole life. And now, just being able to, he always says, hold it up to the light and you strip it of its power. Once I recognized that, it was like a switch flipped to my brain. And I was like, all right, let's go. This is going to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Darian, what has it just been always kind of part of your DNA? Like you said, you're big into personal development and growth. Is there something that triggered you? Is it just like it felt like it's always been a part of you? Kind of what's going on there?
Man, that's a great question, Jordan. Because for me, I feel like this was something it's been rooted in me even from an early age. I just didn't know really what it was. It showed up more as like desire, right? Like, a desire to get better at something. Whether when you're young, it's a little different, right? But I think as I transitioned into getting into real estate, I really figured out, hey, I'm watching. We all know success leaves clues, right? So I'm watching all the top producers 16 years ago, and they're saying, systems and, this and that. But it always really came back to like some fundamentals, And those fundamentals always was about growth and making sure that you're able to become something else. And I was like, after kind of just reading through all the lines, I said, well, man, I think that's probably what I need to be doing, because I feel like if we don't, and especially if you don't have the personal growth, on our radar to get to, then you stay stagnant, right? You don't challenge yourself. And so I personally, again, feel like, it was something that was already in my DNA, and I got a chance to really become more self-aware. And then, man, once that happened, like Kyle was saying, man, we're human. So we're going to have like thoughts, right? And they could be, positive or negative. And it's one of those things where I can now say, hey, negative thought, man, okay, move right along. Whereas without having the tools that I have now that I've learned, I would be like I would be, well, man, it is what it is, I guess that's how it is, but, now I have a whole different perspective, and I'm really able to really see things differently. And, a lot of that really does come from, the journey of personal growth and development, for sure.
Hey, Jordan, if you don't, I have a big question for him, if you don't mind me taking just a few seconds.
Do you think?
We created the difference 2 years ago because my mission at that time was to figure out the difference in people that work and bust their ass and kind of always end up mediocre, and those that bust their ass and end up, doing some extraordinary things. And one of the things that I've been able to see, of course, I kind of knew this for myself, but it didn't reveal itself until I started seeing all the people like Darian, you and Kyle, you, and sharing your stories. How important is mindset? I mean, is that not the number one fundamental? Because if you can't get your mind right, can you do anything else to reach the levels that everybody's trying to reach? Because we do face those obstacles every day, right? Every day, something's hitting us right in the mouth, telling us we can't do it, shouldn't do it. And if you're not willing to face that and walk through it, how do you get to the other side?
Yeah, absolutely.
Over the coals, baby.
That's it. Your buddy Dustin Payne, always his big deal is you got to burn the ships. Yep. You got to burn the ships. And I think so many people want to have that 1 foot on that safety net over there just in case. But I think you do. You got to have that mindset that I'm going to make it happen somehow or another, and surround myself with the right people so I have a support group. Yeah. But if your mind's not, when you go into business for yourself, you're thinking about all the great things that are going to happen. The lifestyle, how it's going to change, how the world's going to be, and then reality hits you, and it is a battle every flipping day. You've got a fire to put out, and you hear so many people go, I didn't sign up for that. Well, if you're an entrepreneur, you signed up for everything. There you go, buddy. Look at that.
There it is. There it is.
It's a reminder every day.
Yeah. I love that. Well, the mindset, mindset's a topic we could go down at a million different rabbit holes on. Kyle mentioned it. We've not only does being an entrepreneur, there's outside battles, but the inner battles I feel like even get louder. Because when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of the stuff relies on you to solve that problem. And man, I realized how weak of a mindset I had when I had to come up with when it came up with problems or problems presented themselves. I'm like, oh man, like I need some work. And then, so it's just like your own mindset and Kyle, you mentioned it, Darian, you did, like when negative thoughts or things, now you can kind of let them go a lot easier. I know I used to identify with the thought. It was like, and you would live with it and you would like sit with it and you're like, and then you would feel bad too. It's like, well, if I'm having negative thoughts, I'm a negative person. Right. And it's like, no, you're human. And so you're going to have an angry thought. You're going to have a negative thought. But if you identify with it and hang on to it, you'll keep it for a while and you may become that person. But so like, I used to think it was like such a bad thing to feel negative or to feel depressed or to feel anxious or angry. And it's like, no, it's like, accept it. And then like, know that that's okay. Yeah. Because if you don't, then you will likely become the thing that you fear that you don't want to become. Right. And so,
well, I think for me, that's been the greatest part of entrepreneurship, is realizing that I do have control and I do have the power if I get my mind right. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. It doesn't mean it's going to take a long time, but it's just to be able to kind of have that self-reflection sometimes and regain your confidence, because we all have self-doubts, and we hit with that every day, regardless of how confident and how accomplished you are. You're going to get hit with something every day that's going to challenge your mind. And I think when you can look back on the history and you go, I overcame that, I can overcome this. And that's why I would never want to leave entrepreneurship, because I'm not sure I could function without those challenges every day for me to reaffirm what I'm capable of.
Woo, powerful.
I think one of the big things too for me that I've learned is that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk to people about what you're going through. And as an entrepreneur, you think you're supposed to be the man on the top of the mountain that's supposed to do everything. And the most successful people have put together a team that stands right behind them, that's propping them up for success, that they can talk to about anything with full transparency, full trust. Because if you don't have trust, there's nothing else there, right? So you put your team together. I got my coach, I got my personal trainer, I got all you guys, right? I've got my wife. I even talked to my baby about it, and he has no idea what's going on. And honestly, like, having this growth, so I didn't get traditionally educated, right? I mean, I dropped out of college, and I was like, look, man, I can do this stuff on my own. Almost everybody I know did. And I think one of the biggest things, and I think, Darren, you're gonna resonate with this, is that I'm most excited to, after learning my mind, to get the mindset work done and get the personal development, to teach my kid this other side of it. So my wife, she was a teacher for 10 years, and she has a master's degree in education, and she's got that side of the school stuff done. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I'm gonna pick you up, skip your homework, we're gonna go play golf. Like, no. But at the same time, I'm gonna be able to teach him the other side of stuff. Like looking at investing in a 529. I don't really want to do it because I don't know if he's gonna want to go to school. Do I want to put $100,000 somewhere and say, if you want to go to school, go to school. If you want to start a business, here's $100,000 for it. Have that flexibility? Maybe. I don't know. But that's, I mean, more than anything, I'm excited to be able to pass that down to him.
Yeah. Just think about where he has such a head start now because of the education you're going to give him versus where we probably all started, because I didn't have that leadership, when I was younger. I kind of had to figure it out on my own. But to take someone like Kyle that's gone through the battles and had the self-education, and now your child is going to have such a huge advantage from where you started. That's all. And that's I think that, again, passing that down to our families is just as much. It's just as valuable as the money that we may be able to leave them as well.
Oh, for sure. The money's the bottom of the barrel, man. I mean, I don't even know if I want to live with any money. I want to spend it all before I die. I had a good friend, fertility doctor in New York. He owns CNY Fertility. Great guy. One of the business mentors in my life. He taught me a lot about generosity in your business and investing in your own business. And one of his mottos was to die in debt. I don't know how many millions of dollars he was making every year, but it was a lot of them, and he wants to die in debt. And you know what? I'm kind of into it.
Spend it, man.
You just got to instruct your family not to answer the debt collection calls.
That's what I was about to say.
They'll try to assign the debt to you. As long as you just hang up on them, don't pay them a dime. You're good to go.
I love that. Well, on that topic of personal development, I'm sure you guys are podcast people, books people, course people, whatever it is. Darian, what are some of the things? Is there a book that you're like, man, I couldn't do without this book? Is there a podcast? Is there a class you've done? Is there a person? Like what?
Ooh, giving me chills, man. You're giving me chills over here. Look, hey, here's the deal, man. I promise you, Jordan, man, we'll be here. We'll really be here all day if we went down that. So I'll keep this really short. I'll tell you what I'm studying right now. And I was actually going to post about it today because a lot of agents ask me all the time. But I'm reading a book right now called Power versus Force. And this book really talks about it speaks to how we vibe, right? Our vibration, like our energy, our consciousness, like it. And I think this will resonate with you, Jordan, because I remember when we first met and you're like, hey man, I saw your energy, your enthusiasm. You're like, yeah, man, I got this magazine and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. But, for me, I was like, man, the magazine, yeah, it's fly, but it's not, I don't really like, am I going to be in it? Or, and so, I was kind of like, well, what does this mean for me? And when we met, I'll never forget, we were at Starbucks in Legacy West. Or no, we were at Barnes & Noble or something.
Yeah, it's no longer there, but it's Barnes & Noble.
Oh, man. Yeah, I hadn't been there. So, yeah, we were there. And dude, we right off the bat just hit it off. And I remember you just saying to me kind of like, D, man, my whole vision with this was to create this community of like-minded agents. And like Landon was saying, put you guys all in a room together so you can learn and grow even more, And so, dude, when I left that meeting with you, I already knew. I was like, all right, so, things happen for a reason. And I knew then that was the moment, okay, I need to be a little bit more out there because you invited me to everything else. And then that's obviously when I met Kyle and everybody. But I can look back to those moments. And it really does circle back to, not only being in the right place at the right time, but knowing when the opportunity for you to grow is there. And so I'll piggyback that to say this. I listen to the podcast, but I'm more of a reader. I like to actually read the book, process it. So with that said, this afternoon, I brought all the books that I read 2021. I am going to do a post on them today. I actually, because I was coming in hot, I was running late. I got them out in the car right now, so I got to bring them all in. But right now, the book I am studying.
Is that the one?
Woo! Jordan will blow your mind. Now I'll shoot you straight. I'm more of a that book. That was a really hard read for me because it speaks to scientific, kinesiology, consciousness. Dude, there were words I couldn't even pronounce. I'm like, man, I can't read this damn book. I'll be here all day. But I knew that was what I needed to do to grow. I was like, all right, man, that's how you grow, man. You gotta. I work out every morning. And I'm like, hey, dude, listen, it's going to hurt. It's supposed to. That's how you stretch. That's how you grow. And I had to really say, okay, D, just read it. I don't care. If you read 2 or 3 pages a day. My average is I like to do like 10 pages a day. But that book for me right now has really gotten me to a place right now where I am just so self-aware and just know that, man, all this stuff is this stuff really is energy, man. It really is vibes. Man, that's the book, man. Golly.
I just ordered it, man. I already got. That's why I love Amazon. While you're talking, it's already ordered. So.
I'm surprised you didn't already read it, Jordan.
It's
3 minutes is like 3 seconds. I'm in. Let's go.
Hey, Elon Musk soon with his Neuralink or whatever it is. Man. Boom, there it is. Got it. Love the book too, Darian. Yeah,
I love it, man. That's awesome, brother.
That's good. I'm excited to read that book. Kyle, what about? Is there a book? What about you? Do you have a?
There is a book. But I'm going to be honest with y'all right now. I cheat.
You Cliff Notes?
My coach reads all the books. And so he takes out the relevant points and he talks to me about them.
Hey, man.
But I did just buy, I got a Kindle coming. So I got severe ADD. I can't pay attention to anything for any long period of time. But I started listening to them. That worked for a while. And then I found that I wanted to read them and listening to them and then read them and listen to them. So I got a Kindle coming today. So I'm trying to find the way that it works for me. But
there you go.
The one that I do want to recommend, it's in parable form. It's a really good story. It's called The Tribe of Millionaires. And that book, it's a parable about, how your circle can get you to where you want to go. It's a super easy read and it's fun. And that thing is, it gives you a perspective on how important the people that you spend your time with are.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, everybody says that you're the culmination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. For me, it's more probably 10 people, but that's the book right there.
I love that.
Choice could change everything. You know, it's a fun book, but, you know, just deciding to really be open, honest, vulnerable with your group and have everybody buy into it. You know, I think that the entrepreneurs organization is formatted somewhat like that. They have their forums, they call them, and they're, you know, 5 to 10 people, and it's very open. Like, I mean, you're looking at financial statements of the business, you're talking about your wife, you're talking about your kids, you're talking about, you know, God, whatever comes up. If you're cheating on your wife, you talk about it in there, you know, from what I've heard. I haven't been a part of it, but I think you have to have audited financial statements that you're a $1 million business and above. And that organization has thrived because they put together these groups for people that wouldn't necessarily find them. I mean, I've got a loose group with that, with like Dustin and Lance and Chris and a couple other guys that helped us. I mean, basically the guys that are working with the Creek and Timber Legacy, which is a charity that we all run together, which, Jordan, you've been helpful in promoting that for us. So thank you. And it's just, you know, we all need a space to talk. Just like I was saying before, we all need a space, especially us that are moving at 1,000 miles an hour, to talk about what the hell's going on. And there's not, unless you're doing it, you don't really understand it.
Yeah. So that I saw, that's David Osborne. He's the KW guy. Yeah. And then Hal Elrod, of course, no Hal. So that's, but I mean, I that's one of the things that I was excited. I mean, Darren mentioned that's one of the things I was excited about with Real Producers is that's what it is. It's like the most successful people, let's get together. And that's, and I was probably the number one beneficiary of it, because I got to sit down with all you guys on the regular basis and get inside your heads over and over.
Scheme, plot, I'm coming for that number one spot.
So I got, you know, it was great. It's been great. And I've always said now, like, I truly believe, you know, if Real Producers vanished, I'd be perfectly fine. Like, I just know, like, with the mindset that I have, the people, the connections that I have, you know, you have your tribe of people, and that's so important. So I love that. The book that I'm like madly obsessed with right now, that maybe, I don't know if it just, sometimes books just hit you like perfectly at the right time, you know? And so I don't know if I'm blowing it out of proportion because it just hit me so perfectly, but like, it feels like it's like my number one book right now. And it's called Gap in the Gain.
Yep.
Have you read it?
I heard about this.
I've been cheating on that one. I know the story because my coach read it.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So you got your Cliff Notes version of it. Right. But so I just listened to the audiobook, and it was one of those books. Yeah, there you go, Leonard. You have The Gap in the Gain.
Yeah.
By Dan Sullivan. Benjamin Hardy is the one that really writes it. But so good, man. I mean, it's powerful, and I would really. He makes the argument at the start of the book. And he said the founding fathers, who is it that wrote it? But he wrote the line, what is it? The pursuit, he said, they say the pursuit of happiness in what is it? The Declaration of Independence, right? Or whatever it is, but they say the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And so they said that was a fatal flaw in the mindset. I forget which president wrote that. But by pursuing happiness, you're never in happiness. And he said that's the mindset kind of that people have got put in, is that, you know, I'm pursuing it, so once I get there, I'll be happy, but we never get there, right? We're always pursuing it. And so it's the state of happiness, really. And like so in the book, he's like, no, you're happy now. Like, you just need to like recognize it. And the gap in the gain is really, it's a simple concept that talks about the difference of, you know, if essentially if you're looking at what you got versus what you don't got. He gives an example of the guy that's like, hey, he's talking to his investment, you know, financial advisor. He's like, hey, once I get my portfolio to 5 million, I'm set. I'm happy. I'm there. Of course, he gets to 5 million. He's like, actually, I realize it's got to be 10 million. Okay, well, it gets to 10 million. And actually, I realized, and it's kind of that whole kind of concept. And especially as entrepreneurs, we're always looking at all these things. We set these goals that we want to be at, and we are always looking forward, and we're realizing the gap. Let's say I wanted to earn, I'm a real estate agent my first year and I wanted to earn, $100,000, but I made 60.
Mhm.
We don't look at, I made 60 grand, the gain. We look at the 40 that we didn't. And that's how, if we look at that with everything though, with your kids, right? You look at, man, they maybe do all these things great, but they're brat. They don't pick up their clothes. Either their room's a mess. So that we're looking at the gap about my kid, and then so our relationships, like everything, it's a programming that we start looking at the gap in our life, and when you're focused on the gap in your life, you aren't happy, right? No. And so he reverts your mindset to look at the gain. And now it's not to not acknowledge that, of course, there's more growth that can happen, improvement. Right. He's not saying that, but he's saying to put that focus on, like, man, there's so much that I've grown in my life. Because if you focus on that, you're in a better state. If you're in a better state and you're happier, you're going to perform better. You're getting closer to closing that gap, right? And so that book, I mean, just the simplicity of it, but the power of it it hit me right in the soul. Yeah,
I've heard that from everybody who's read it, had the same reaction to it. Was game changer in terms of how you feel about life. And I mean, we all know the quality of your life is directly related to the emotions you experience on a daily basis. So being able to take a look at that and further have a path to look at your life and be happier about it, have better, more positive emotions, your quality of life is going to be better.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
The best journal ever.
Hey, this right here, fire. Speaking to what Jordan was saying, focusing on that gap, right? So where focus goes, energy flows type of deal, And so one of the things that I have to remind myself is, even with this journal here, it asks me the questions, hey, what am I grateful for? So speaking into that example, hey, yeah, my goal was 100,000. I made 60,000 though. Like, I'm grateful for that. Like, I'm, really wish I would have made 100. And then guess what? You go out into the marketplace, your clients feel that, right? They feel that. And now you're either down or oh man, I gotta hurry up, man. Hey, you want to buy this? Because shit, I got a gap fixed.
Mission breath.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, it's going back to what you were saying. You'll never be in that state of pursuing the happiness, man. No, you're right now. You need to appreciate and be grateful for what you got, and then the universe it will give you more. Like, all right, man, Darian, man, you did awesome. You had a great 2021. For me personally, and I don't knock any agent that does it, obviously, but I don't even share like, hey, yeah, man, I sold, 40 houses, but I had 20. I don't even share that, because for me, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm working in the capacity where I'm going to help as many people as I can. Whatever that looks like, I got my objective goal over here, but whatever this looks like over here, I'm happy with it. I'm good with it. And so, how my business looks now is quite different than what it looked in the past, because now I started really working with clients who actually value, and then they refer their, friends and family. So volume just naturally goes up. Price point goes higher. And I'm able to spend a lot more time with those clients to generate that, that extra, volume and commissions or anything, but
I love that.
That's kind of and when I speak to agents about this, like I said, it's totally fine to have that. Hey, I want to do 20 or 30 transactions, but always remember that, hey, there is a family attached to that. Like, focus on that, and I promise you will knock that shit out the way. That should have come, right? So.
Well, your energy, like you said, if you're focused on the gratitude, people can feel that. If you're focusing on the gap, people can feel that, and your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And what Kyle just said, your tribe is gonna, the 10 people, 5 people you're around is gonna be, if they're millionaires, you'd be millionaire. If they're negative people, you're gonna be negative, and so, it comes down to your vibe, but we're the ones that choose our vibe, you know. And even in the book, he just says simply looking at the end of every day, just 3 wins, and there's always wins. Even if you suck that day, you learn something. Learning is a win. And so, you know, looking at the wins for the day, and he goes, if you can look back every single day and look at wins, because it's so easy. How many of us do look back and look at what we didn't do? He goes, and if you can just do that, you're going to just fill your soul with positivity, with gratitude, with wins. And now his reality is what we make it, right? And so like you can look at and look at where you lack, and you will be that person. But you know, if you can, you know, so it's I mean, I love this topic. I could go down for, I mean, we're running low on time because.
Hey, Jordan, you guys just reminded me of something that I wanted to share real quick, because I never really thought about it this way. My first venture into entrepreneurship was as a personal trainer. I ran a personal training business. And the way that I ran it, because I realized that I'd worked out my whole life, that working out is a struggle every day, right? We forget where we started. We just know where we are right now. And so I would have the people that come in, I would take a percentage of their body weight, and I would let them go to failure at that percentage of body weight. 6 months down the road, they're looking at me complaining, this is not getting any easier. Why is this still so hard? And I would take them back, put them on that weight where they started, and they could probably triple or quadruple the amount of reps that they did in the beginning.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was at that point where they go, now I see why I do this.
Yeah.
Right. I see where I've come from, and I can actually appreciate where I am right now, even though the journey's always hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in where you're at today and the world that you're created today. And you forget to look back at, man, all the growth that you've had. And so, man, this is good. This was fun. Again, I would love to just keep doing this. We'll have to get together offline, guys, and
yeah, for sure,
and do this again, because these conversations bring life to me. We can always use more reminders of this too, right? That's the other thing, is like you don't shower once and call yourself clean. And so, you know, you got to keep this stuff front and center in your mind. And so I do want to say quickly, Kyle, if someone's interested, if they need property management services or anyone wants an agent or someone wants to talk to you about that, what's the best way to contact you?
You can email me, Kyle, at American, AMERICAN, Real, REAL, P as in Paul, M as in Mary.com. We're helping people build their rental portfolios too. For the agents out there, we've referred about 40 deals out this year in Kansas City, St. Louis, Detroit, and the numbers aren't looking good here in Dallas, but I think they will. So we'll start being able to push that out. You can also just give my cell a call, 214-801-6555. Be happy to talk to you.
I love that. And Darren, if you got other agents that want to connect with you, people are looking to buy us a home, how do they connect with you?
So, you know, it's always best to text or call me directly, 214-687-8384. Feel free to ping me on the socials, you know, Diamond D Real Estate, Facebook, email Darian, Darien at diamonddrealestate.com. I am looking for and creating my own tribe, right? So I have agents right now that are rock stars, and we're just looking to really build up from that right now. So we have the foundation here set at the office, and if there's anyone there that's, you know, on the fence about maybe, open-minded about being affiliated with something different, please reach out to me. I would love to work with you.
I love it.
You'll get that knowledge, that personal growth, and that energy every day from this, man. I guarantee it.
That is one thing that, hey, listen, man,
just say thank you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna keep y'all, man. Thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah. Hey, that's super important, man. It really is, and I had a lot of fun, guys, and I mean it. Let's catch up here soon. This was a blast. So appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you guys both for coming on. And thanks for everyone that was tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Next week, 11 o'clock, same time, same place. We'll see you guys there. Have a great rest of the day, y'all.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah.